What if one simple change in your daily routine could transform your blood sugar levels without an extra medication, without a strict diet, and without spending a single penny more? That change is probably already sitting in your kitchen right now. It is called coffee. But not just any coffee drunk any way at any time. And it is precisely this detail that the vast majority of people overlook, including those who already pay close attention to their health. What you are about to discover in the next few minutes is the result of serious scientific studies published in the world's leading medical journals. Research conducted on millions of people. And yet this information almost never reaches the people who need it most. People like you and those you love. So get comfortable, because by the end of this video, you will have practical, free, and immediately applicable knowledge to better manage your blood sugar on a daily basis. Let's start by understanding what is happening inside your body. Picture your pancreas as a small factory. Its main job is to produce insulin, the hormone that acts like a key to open the doors of your cells and let sugar in. That sugar, or glucose, is then converted into energy. Without that key, glucose stays trapped in the blood, and that is where the problems begin. When we eat too many foods that spike blood sugar very quickly, such as white bread, industrial biscuits, or sweets, the pancreas has to work on overdrive. It produces massive amounts of insulin to manage that flood of sugar. And if this happens day after day, year after year, the cells gradually become less sensitive to that insulin. They no longer respond properly. The pancreas has to produce even more insulin to achieve the same effect. And that is exactly how insulin resistance develops, the starting point of prediabetes, and eventually type 2 diabetes. In France, according to Santé Publique France, more than 4 million people are living with diabetes. And it is estimated that nearly 1 million more have the condition without knowing it. Among people over 65, prevalence exceeds 20%. That is 1 person in 5. And this figure is probably an underestimate, because many seniors do not have regular blood tests. What is particularly concerning is the gray zone. People who are not yet diabetic, but whose blood sugar is already too high. Those who feel unexplained fatigue after meals. Those who are constantly thirsty. Those whose legs feel heavy in the evening. The body has been sending these signals for a long time, and too often no one connects them to blood sugar. This is the context in which coffee enters the picture, and not in the way you might expect. Coffee is one of the most scientifically studied beverages in the world. It contains hundreds of bioactive compounds, but 2 of them have particularly caught the attention of researchers specializing in sugar metabolism, chlorogenic acid and trigonelline. These 2 molecules act as genuine regulators in the intestine. When they are present at the right moment, they slow the absorption of glucose contained in food. Instead of a massive wave of sugar crashing all at once into the bloodstream and forcing the pancreas to work on emergency mode, you get a slow, steady flow that the body can handle without stress. A landmark study published in the journal Diabetes Care, conducted by researchers from the Harvard School of Public Health, analyzed data from more than 1 million people worldwide. The conclusion was unequivocal. Regular coffee consumption is associated with a significant reduction in the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, and this effect is dose-dependent. The more cups per day, within a reasonable limit, the greater the protection. In 2018, researchers from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, one of the most respected medical institutions in the world, carried out a meta-analysis of 30 different studies, covering nearly 1,200,000 participants. Their conclusion confirmed the Harvard data. Coffee consumption, whether regular or decaffeinated, is associated with approximately a 30% reduction in the risk of type 2 diabetes. 30%. That's substantial for a drink you may already be consuming every single morning. But here is the problem, and this is where everything changes. These benefits are not automatic. They depend entirely on how you drink your coffee. The wrong coffee, drunk at the wrong time, in the wrong way, can not only cancel out these protective effects, it can actually make your blood sugar worse. Here are the 3 most common mistakes, and they affect a large majority of people over 60. The first mistake, and the most widespread, is drinking coffee as soon as you wake up on an empty stomach before eating anything. This habit seems harmless. For many people, it is a ritual anchored for decades. But here is what is actually happening inside your body at that moment. After a night of sleep, your body is already in a state of gentle alertness. Cortisol, the stress hormone produced by the adrenal glands, is naturally at its highest level of the day, between 6 and 8 in the morning. This cortisol signals the liver to release glucose into the blood, to give you the energy to start the day. It is a normal survival mechanism. The problem is that caffeine amplifies this phenomenon. It further stimulates the adrenal glands, triggers an additional release of adrenaline, and the liver responds by pouring even more glucose into the bloodstream. And you have not eaten anything yet. A study published in the British Journal of Nutrition measured this effect very precisely. Drinking black coffee on an empty stomach after a night of sleep can trigger a rise in blood sugar of 20 to 40 milligrams per deciliter without any food consumed. In people already in a situation of prediabetes or insulin resistance, this effect can be even more pronounced. In other words, your blood sugar rises sharply, and you have not even had breakfast yet. The second mistake is sweetening your coffee, or using artificial sweeteners. A single teaspoon of sugar in your coffee triggers an immediate glucose spike and directly neutralizes the action of chlorogenic acid. It is like starting a fire break on one side and pouring gasoline on the other at the same time. Synthetic sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose are not the miracle solution people think. A study published in the journal Nutrients in 2021 showed that these substances can alter the composition of the gut microbiome, that vast community of billions of bacteria that plays a fundamental role in regulating glucose metabolism. Imbalances in the microbiome are now clearly associated with poorer long-term blood sugar management. More recently, in January 2025, a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition by the Harvard School of Public Health analyzed 3 large American cohorts. The result is that coffee consumed without any additives is associated with a 10% reduction in diabetes risk for each additional cup per day. But when that same coffee is consumed with sugar, this protective effect diminishes significantly. The conclusion is simple. Remove the sugar from your coffee. It may be one of the simplest and most powerful changes you can make for your health. The third mistake is drinking coffee in the late afternoon or evening. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours in the body. This means that if you drink a coffee at 3 in the afternoon, half of the caffeine is still circulating in your blood at 8 in the evening, and 1/4 is still present at midnight. This sustained caffeine level keeps cortisol elevated into the evening, disrupts the onset of sleep, and most importantly affects the quality of deep sleep. Yet it is during deep sleep that the body performs a large part of its hormonal regulation, particularly that which concerns blood sugar and insulin sensitivity. Repeated poor sleep is now recognized as an independent risk factor for type 2 diabetes. It becomes a vicious cycle. Coffee too late disrupts sleep, and poor sleep throws blood sugar out of balance. Now here is what to do instead. Here is how to use coffee to make it a genuine metabolic ally. The first ideal moment for your coffee is in the morning, but not first thing. When you wake up, start by drinking a large glass of water. Wait between 30 and 60 minutes. Then eat something containing protein, for example 2 scrambled eggs, a piece of cheese, plain unsweetened yogurt, or a slice of ham. Only after that should you drink your coffee, black, without sugar or sweetener. Why eat protein first? Because protein attenuates the cortisol response to caffeine. It provides amino acids that the liver uses in a more stable way, which prevents that cortisol spike that unnecessarily releases glucose into the blood. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology showed that consuming protein before caffeine significantly reduces the after-waking blood sugar spike. If you want to go even further, add half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder to your coffee. Cinnamon contains compounds that partially mimic the action of insulin. A review published in the journal Nutrients showed that regular cinnamon consumption can contribute to a modest but measurable reduction in fasting blood sugar levels. It is not a medication, but it is a real, natural ally with no side effects. The second strategic moment is before lunch, and this may be the least well-known tip, but one of the most effective. About 20 to 30 minutes before your midday meal, drink a small cup of black coffee without sugar. The chlorogenic acid will then play its regulating role in your intestine. It slows the absorption of sugar in the foods you are about to eat, flattening the blood sugar spike after the meal. A study conducted by researchers at Brigham and Women's Hospital, affiliated with Harvard Medical School, published in Diabetes Care, showed that coffee compounds reduce glucose and insulin concentrations significantly in the first 15 minutes following carbohydrate consumption compared to a placebo. This effect is real, measurable, and completely free. The third optimal moment is after physical activity. If you walk, do gentle exercise, climb stairs, or garden, within 30 minutes of finishing that activity, drink a cup of black coffee. Here is why. When your muscles have just been working, they become far more receptive to glucose. They act like a sponge, absorbing sugar from the blood to rebuild their energy reserves. Caffeine taken at this precise moment enhances this effect, helping the muscles capture glucose even more efficiently. Researchers call this a metabolic window, and the vast majority of people let it pass without taking advantage of it. As for total daily amount of coffee, major studies, including the Karolinska Institute meta-analysis, place the optimal benefit zone between 3 and 5 small cups per day for most adults. But every body is different. If you experience palpitations, anxiety, trembling, or if you sleep poorly after coffee, your caffeine metabolism may be slower, and that is genetically determined. In that case, limit yourself to 2 cups per day, or choose a quality decaffeinated coffee. It still contains chlorogenic acid and retains much of the benefit for blood sugar control. Now let's talk about coffee's invisible enemies, the ones that sabotage all these benefits without you even realizing it. The first enemy is sugar in all its forms. White sugar, brown sugar, cane sugar, honey, agave syrup. It does not matter. Anything sweet added to your coffee causes an immediate glucose spike, and that cancels out the protective effect of chlorogenic acid. The Harvard 2025 data is unambiguous on this point. The second enemy is synthetic sweeteners. Aspartame and sucralose disrupt the gut microbiome. If you absolutely need to sweeten your coffee, choose pure natural stevia, which has not shown the same negative effects in available research. The third enemy is industrial instant coffee in sachets. These products often contain hidden sugar, hydrogenated fats, artificial flavorings, and additives that completely undermine the nutritional quality of the drink. Always prioritize natural ground coffee, ideally 100% Arabica, freshly brewed. The fourth enemy is combining coffee with ultra-processed foods. White bread, filled biscuits, industrial pastries, commercial cakes. When you pair your coffee with these foods, the glucose spike triggered by the refined carbohydrates is so violent that no amount of chlorogenic acid can compensate. Coffee alone is powerless in the face of an unbalanced diet. To go even further, here is what can be called the protection triad. 3 simple habits that, combined, produce effects far greater than the sum of their parts. The first pillar is smart coffee, drunk at the right moments, without sugar. maximizing the action of its active compounds. The second pillar is movement. No need to join a gym. A walk at a moderate pace for 30 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week, is enough to considerably improve insulin sensitivity. Moving muscles act as pumps that draw glucose out of the blood, independently of insulin. This mechanism has been confirmed by hundreds of studies. It is one of the most powerful tools against diabetes, and it is completely free. The third pillar is sufficient protein intake at each meal. Protein is the macronutrient that has the least impact on blood sugar. It provides lasting satiety and protects muscle mass, which is the body's largest consumer of glucose. After the age of 60, protein needs increase because the body uses it less efficiently. Examples include eggs, chicken, fish, legumes, cheese, and plain yogurt. Include a source of protein at every main meal. When these three elements work together, the effects multiply. Coffee improves insulin sensitivity. Exercise increases glucose uptake by the muscles. Protein stabilizes post-meal blood sugar spikes. It is a powerful combination that requires no special product, no expensive supplement, and no subscription. One important point must be made clearly. Everything described here represents complementary lifestyle strategies based on solid scientific evidence. These approaches can bring real and significant help in managing blood sugar levels. But they do not replace medical supervision in any way. If you have diagnosed diabetes and take medication, never modify your treatment without speaking to your doctor first. The ideal approach is to bring this information to your next appointment and discuss it together so it can be integrated into your overall care plan. What is remarkable about all this data is that it points to something fundamental that modern medicine tends to overlook. The human body is not an enemy. It is not a broken machine waiting to be repaired by medication. It constantly seeks to balance itself, to regulate, to adapt. And often, what it needs is not more pills. It needs consistent signals, habits that allow it to do its work properly. Rising blood sugar, persistent fatigue after meals, constant thirst, tingling in the feet, heavy legs at the end of the day. These are messages. Your body is trying to communicate. And sometimes, all it takes is changing the time at which you drink your cup of coffee for those messages to begin to fade. Health does not live in a pharmacy. It lives in the small, daily choices, in the way you rise each morning, in what you put in your cup, in the 10 extra minutes of walking you can decide to take today. If you have someone close to you, a spouse, a brother, a sister, a friend who struggles with high blood sugar or is living with diabetes, share this video with them right now. This information could change something in their life. Quality information, grounded in science and accessible to everyone, is one of the most beautiful gifts we can offer to those we love.